What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour Hoops, the Triple H podcast. You know, you guys can crack a cold one, listen to our ice cold takes, and just be caught up on everything NBA all the time. Jake, Micah, and Donovan Holden, as always. Jake, we got a few interesting topics to talk about today on the show. We have more Ben Simmons, of course, because this guy just can't stay out of basketball news this summer. We have some outrageous takes or very hot NBA takes for this upcoming season. Me and Jake will each do three. And then a little keeping up with JR segment we started since JR Smith has gone to college and pursued a collegiate golfing career. And we have just some news at the top of the show too. Is JJ Redick earlier this week on his own podcast announced his retirement. Really a legend of basketball, college and NBA, one of the great sharpshooters the league has ever seen. Jake, what do we got on JJ Redick?
I mean, JJ Redick, when you think of, I would say, Duke basketball players like of our generation, JJ Redick from a college basketball standpoint, I mean, he set ACC records. He was leading the country in scoring. Was the number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, the kid was coming out highly regarded, and all he did really was produce his whole career. He shot the ball well his entire career. He played for a bunch of contending teams, filled great roles in Philly for that team when he was there. It was just it was a really, I was not expecting it. I think he could, because it was just shocking, because JJ Redick, you think, could still be in the league for like 5 more years. Like, I feel like JJ Redick still has a lot of basketball in him left. But yeah, it was crazy, and it was crazy to see, thinking that he still has some ball left in him, and maybe he gets a call. You know, teams are going to be trying to call him in the going into the playoff run. Giving him a ring. He's got to at least listen up. Like the Brooklyn Nets is right home there. You never know. Maybe one of these teams picks him up at the end. But hats off to a great career for a guy that stuck it out, and one of the greatest shooters of our generation that we've seen.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you think of 3-point shooting, you have to think of JJ Redick, or at least, consider the name. Think about what a great shooter he was in college and the NBA. I mean, he made
2-time ACC Player of the Year, a 2-time consensus All-American. I mean, that's his number 4 is retired at Duke.
Yeah,
that's as big as you can get. And give him his respect too. McDonald's All-Star, All-American game MVP in 2002.
Wow,
there were probably a lot of dudes on the court in that game.
Some very talented MVP there, guys, I'm sure. Yeah.
So JJ Redick peaked in college, is what we're saying, but he still had a good NBA career. I wish he would have gotten a ring. I still think still thinking that he's eyeing down Brooklyn in case he wants to get back into it. Like, he lives. I know. I'm pretty sure he lives like right by Big Cat. I remember them having an interview together and talking about they lived very close to each other.
Yeah, and I think he's just like kind of in love with the podcast game now. I mean, he announced his retirement on his podcast. I think
it's a great podcast.
Yeah, I think he likes talking about hoops. Maybe he's starting to like talking about it a little more than he likes playing it at this point. But it's funny you mentioned that, because I feel like guys like him and like even Kyle Korver, like, I feel like for the next like 10 years, I'm not keeping it out of, I'm not like pushing it away that either of those guys won't just come out of the blue and just join an NBA roster. Someone who either needs shooting or, like you said, is trying to make a deep playoff push, and they're like, all right, let's call JJ. We got to get him here now. But yeah, to me, those two are just those types of players. I think JJ could continue to play if he wanted to, but obviously, has some bigger aspirations right now. But like you said, hats off to JJ. Excellent career. Great shooter. Can't ever forget about JJ Redick.
Yeah, he'll be in our hearts forever. JJ Redick. All right, so let's get into the thing. I was joking before the podcast that this is now just been this era of happy hour hoops has to be known as the Ben Simmons era. He's been our
Yeah,
background 3
right.
straight times. So we're in the Ben Simmons era, Dunny. Give it. What are we working with here?
Yeah, so a few episodes ago, I feel bad for our listeners if they're tired of us talking about Ben Simmons, but I mean, he
There's
has
nothing else
been,
happening on in basketball.
yeah, the
Everybody's talking about
only,
Ben Simmons.
like the hottest news and the only news really in the NBA right now is that Ben Simmons, I mean, he made it abundantly clear the other day. You know, there was rumors over the summer and, you know, people close to him and in his camp were saying, you know, they don't think Ben Simmons is going to report to the Sixers, and now he has made it very clear that he will not. He has played his last game for the Sixers, so that awful performance against the Atlanta Hawks when they were eliminated will be burned into the brains of Philly fans everywhere forever, because that is the last they will see of Ben Simmons in a Sixers uniform. And now, you know, we just kind of like I said before, I wanted rumors. I wanted to kind of see this thing crumble because that's what we're getting to with this. And I think we're going to get that. It appears that pretty soon we will have some mayhem surrounding Ben Simmons. But I feel like we're just back at the point where we have to ask, like, what is this, and what is even a real possibility for this? And no one still has that answer, but it's starting to be a little more real now that we're approaching the NBA season.
Yeah, man. That's the thing is like we haven't had any like substantial Ben Simmons rumors in months,
No.
like hearing any talks of offers or trades. Like everybody's kind of in a stalemate right now. The part is he has 4 years left. Like how long you can extend this out for a long time if you really want to make it get uncomfortable. And I mean, like I don't know. Like I find it hard to believe he's not gonna play a game if they don't trade him for the season. Like what can they even say? He's not hurt unless he pulls some injury shit, which is who knows. Like we saw
They just
Kyrie.
load manage him for the whole season.
We saw Kyrie do that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Kyrie, and Kyrie's was dealing with a knee injury and said that he would get a surgery or a scope or something that would keep him out for most of the regular season with Cleveland, and that's how he ended up with your Boston Celtics, which that didn't work out for anybody anyways.
No.
So that I think now we're in this moment where I don't think this is going to work out for anybody when it relates to the Sixers.
Yeah, probably not. And it's funny you mentioned Kyrie because so Stephen A yesterday went on this whole rant on First Take, and
Kyrie's in an interesting case right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was, Stephen A was going off about how I guess it was all an if because today, he kind of backtracked and said people were putting words into his mouth. So I guess this was just like an original thought from Stephen A. He never like heard or saw or, was saying that Kyrie for Ben Simmons rumors were even true or happening. He was just saying that makes sense to him for Kyrie to go to Philly with Joel Embiid, which would be an unstoppable duo, and Ben Simmons to Brooklyn. He said they would be, automatic championship in his eyes. He thinks they're winning regardless this year, even if they keep Kyrie. But he was going off saying, that would be a great trade. And then he was saying the only reason it wouldn't happen is because Kevin Durant wouldn't let Brooklyn do that. He doesn't think that Kevin Durant would let Brooklyn trade away his point guard, the guy he came to Brooklyn to team up with. And he's probably right, but I just don't know if either side is even considering this. I think Philadelphia absolutely should consider this because they already know that Ben Simmons will not play for them, and Kyrie Irving is an all-NBA talent. So, yeah, that makes sense for Philly. I don't know why this would ever even cross the Brooklyn Nets' mind. I get it. I think Simmons at his peak and the type of player he is could be very complimentary next to Kevin Durant and James Harden. But I just don't, kind of like what we just said. I don't see this as realistic because it's kind of hard to fathom any Ben Simmons trade being realistic or, staying right now.
Yeah, I just I don't see I don't see the landing spot right now that because Daryl Morey is not gonna just take some random deal. Like Daryl Morey is a dude who wins deals. He's not a dude who's gonna just take you know some draft picks for this team when they're trying to win a title. Like he is a one track mind to just build around Joel Embiid. That's not a package of a lot of young guys like the Warriors could give them or some of these teams. And it's hard to find like an equal level of guy that they're trying to trade for. Like the rumors started with like Lillard. Like we started shooting for big game right away. It was Lillard, it was Beal. Those guys aren't leaving. Like those teams are I think the Wizards and Trailblazers, when we something that a lot of people do in basketball talk is when it's especially just looking at the whole league, like those two markets especially, I feel like those small market teams, like they don't need to be trying to win a title every year. They're just trying to be like good so they can sell tickets to games and keep people coming and making playoffs and stuff and everything. And Beal and Lillard understand that as much as anybody else too. And I think there's a lane in the league for like the hometown hero, that guy that's been there. But like there's a lot of great guys like that throughout NBA history, guys that have been in those situations. I think that those guys are kind of just locked in there. It's a side point to being that there's really not a straight up Ben Simmons trade that can happen. On the Bill Simmons podcast today, the most interesting one that he keeps bringing up is for Paul George, just straight up. And I just don't see the Clippers doing that because they pretty much bought into Paul George. And I couldn't imagine. Don't you think of the passive aggressiveness between Kawhi Leonard and Ben Simmons? It would be
No, it wouldn't work.
Nothing would get done. Nothing would get done.
Just,
I think the only thing worse than Paul George and Kawhi is Kawhi and Ben Simmons.
It would be, you could hear a pin drop in that locker room, dude, because Simmons is just checked out of professional basketball as is, and Kawhi just doesn't talk.
He literally said they put out that he wanted to go to LA, or San Francisco. Like he's not even hiding that he doesn't care about anything.
Simmons said that?
You don't remember that? That was a couple months ago, or maybe last month.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah.
I'm saying that the original thing came out, but you know where his head's at.
Yeah,
like we know what this dude's trying to do. He just wants to live out in California and fly back and forth to his mansion.
An important question, or just something to think about too, is like what is going through Joel's mind during all this?
Oh, because Joel's been defending it. Joel's been defending him all the time too before this.
Really?
You ever see him on Twitter just like saying like him and Ben are cool, all that shit? Like he's stuck up for it. Now whether how much that is like true or just him showing a good face because he's clearly the face of the organization, that's where the split I think came down to it. But he can't be happy with this situation. He probably just wants a team that he's going to go try to win a title with. I don't think he cares if it's with Ben Simmons or not. I think he'd be happy if it was with Ben, and he would be happy if it was a good team.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it could be both of the things you just said. Like, I think that could be true, that he still rocks with Ben Simmons. I'm sure they still will be friends after this. And maybe he's like saying, hey, I support him if he wants to start over. If he doesn't want to play for Philly, that's fine. But at the same time, I think it's probably makes sense that he is upset and like confused and wants something to happen sooner rather than later. Because I mean, Embiid's great. He's going to be great for, a few more years, but he's not like a young gun. And I don't know. I think it would be smart for Philly as a franchise to flip Ben Simmons for, draft assets, younger players, like you said, the Warriors and teams like that can offer them. But I feel like Embiid's at a point in his career where you want to win now with this guy. If you're planning on, making a playoff run or have championship aspirations, you have to put pieces around Embiid right now that can win right now. So, I mean, I would love to pick Embiid's brain on this. Is just what, what he might want in return for Ben Simmons, because obviously he's gone. Whether they're friends or not, Ben is leaving. He will not play a game with the 76ers. He's made that clear. So I think if you're Philly and you're the management, you have to, go to Joel about this stuff and kind of pick his brain on the type of player he might want to play with. Of course, ultimately it's not up to him completely, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I'm sure that I feel like those conversations have had to have happened at some point. Like, I would feel like if you're Joel Embiid, you're getting that kind of respect from Doc, even if anything. But I feel like Daryl Morey too. Like, they know that's where their bread is getting buttered, is Joel Embiid. No matter what happens with this Ben Simmons thing, like, Embiid is the guy. Like, he's the one who is going to carry them to a title if it happens.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we've been talking about this all summer, like with the Aaron Rodgers situation, like how much input you get and everything like that. But I feel like the NBA, especially when you're like married to a star player like that, you have to have that kind of relationship. I mean, Dame was this summer too, saying that he
Yeah.
didn't get as much input on roster decisions as he liked and everything. And maybe that started a conversation with ownership, and that's why he hasn't, blown a trade up or anything like that, because I don't know, it was Dame rumors were pretty hot there for a little while, and then it's been pretty quiet since then.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I say all that to say I think there's a deal to be made if the Sixers make some concessions, but I don't know how willing Daryl Morey is going to be. So this could get into the season. This could get into November. Like, I could see this going on for a little bit, but he's
Yeah.
going to get moved. Like, I don't see him playing again for the
I was gonna
Sixers.
ask you that. So, I mean, we're less than a month away now from the first day of the NBA, which is fantastic. But do you see this happening, past the opening night of the NBA? Like, you think going into the year Ben Simmons will still be on the 76ers, or do you think he'll be on a new team by the time the season rolls around?
I don't. I think a deal gets done before the season. I think you have to. I don't know. I feel like somebody's gonna pony up and want that guy on the team.
Yeah, me too. I feel like, you talked about there was, guys like Dame and even James Harden in this conversation with what a Ben Simmons trade looks like. And then for a while I was thinking, okay, no way it's even like close to that. I think a few episodes ago, me and you were saying like, I mean, it could be a really bad trade compared to what they thought they were going to get originally. But now I'm kind of back to, thinking what you just said. Like, I feel like there's one team out there that will spend a haul to get Ben Simmons on their team. And it might be weird. It might not be some star player. It might be like a few role players and a surplus of picks or whatever. Or just a bunch of draft assets, like, kind of like the Paul George trade we saw a few years back. I do think this might trickle into the season, though, just because, how long he waited to actually say that he's for sure not going to play another game with the 76ers. And then I'm still hearing like that the 76ers believe they can convince Ben Simmons to change his mind. So they they are going to try to pry Ben Simmons and try to get him to play, I believe. And he wants no part of it. We're less than a month away. I could see this trickling into October. Games are being played. Ben Simmons, I don't even know if he's on the bench.
Posting Instagram stories from his house in LA.
I don't like. Is he even going to be on the bench if he's not playing? But
I don't think he can show up.
Team?
I don't think he's showing up to the state of Philadelphia.
Yeah. So like, oh my
the
god,
Commonwealth,
I just have so many
Commonwealth
questions.
Of Philadelphia.
Like, what happens with the contract at that point? Like, is he even getting paid? Like, you're not playing. You're just refusing to. You're not injured.
So he already got paid 50% of his contract. Or no, he got paid 25% on August 1st, and he gets paid another 25% on October 1st. So he
Oh
gets
my
paid
God,
50%
yeah.
before the
So
year
he knew what
starts.
he was doing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is they can fine him,
For
right?
not
And it's
playing.
like $200,000 a day or something like that. He just doesn't pay the fines. He gets traded to a new team. The new team's not going to make him pay the fines.
No.
Like it's not like they like a debt collector in the Philadelphia 76ers. Like those fines transfer over because it's a team fine, and the
Yep.
new team will just be like, "Nah, you're good. Like, here's your bonus too, or some shit, whatever they could do it." But yeah, he already made. He's already gonna make next week $17.5 million this year. So he's probably chilling. He
Wow.
probably does not
Yeah,
care.
he's good then. Never mind. The money thing doesn't matter for Ben.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, so you think something happens before the season?
Yeah, I'm trying to manifest it. I think, I mean, I guess we did see James Harden get into, I don't know. I think something before the season. I think when he really doesn't show up and they start asking questions and everything, it's going to get too uncomfortable. And someone's
Okay,
gonna make it.
then
Someone's gonna make a deal. It might be the Cavs, and that's what really scares me because they've been very quiet. And if they trade for Ben Simmons is gonna be so unhappy in Cleveland. It's not even gonna be
yeah,
funny. He's gonna hate his. He might retire. What if Ben Simmons is like, you know what, fuck it,
that'd
I'm
be
not going to
crazy. Pull
Cleveland.
like an
That was
Andrew
wild.
Luck, just retire way too
Like
early.
I don't need this anymore. What were you
So
gonna say?
yeah, just galaxy brain. Then what team do you see Ben ending up?
Galaxy brain. I think Toronto. Honestly,
Oh wow,
I
I was
think it's
not expecting
Toronto.
that.
I think it's a Siakam, Van Vliet, maybe Siakam or something like that. I don't know if Van
Siakam
Vliet.
and
Maybe I don't
Embiid
know if
would
you
be
could trade Van
interesting.
Vliet, but Siakam at least. And then you get Siakam and he just needs to be a better shooter. He's still like a 30-ish% 3-point shooter. If he can bump that up to like league average, and the defense that him and Embiid could play together, I don't
Yeah,
know. I like that.
what if Siakam goes for Ben and then in a separate deal, Houston, Philly work out John Wall going to Philly?
Where's my
Because
Jalen Green deal?
oh, true. Forgot about
Jalen
that.
Green for Ben Simmons, straight up. Now, it's Toronto or
Don't say the Celtics
no, it's not.
because I
I think
keep
they're
hearing
done.
that.
I don't think
But
so.
it's funny,
I think
like
they really might like. Damn, I don't know. Minnesota for Cat.
yeah, I think it's Minnesota. I really do. I think
Cat wants out. Simmons wants out. They're just like, you know what?
yeah,
We'll just
and
trade
just
the disgruntled superstars for each other.
everything that's going on with Minnesota right now, which we said we're not going to get into on this podcast, there's too much to break down. But that
You can go read the article. It's like we don't need to comment on it. Yeah.
I think
Their GM is no longer their GM.
Yeah, and they have just a weird assortment of talent. None of them have like been able to play together just because of like injury and the way things have been working out over there the last couple of years. They have D'Angelo Russell, who's bounced around to so many teams, which I think is unfair because I think he's an unbelievable player. You have Anthony Edwards, who could easily just be the face of the franchise by himself. It seems that's how good of a talent he is. And then you have Karl Anthony Towns, who seems unhappy in Minnesota, and it's a strange franchise. So I just think they have the pieces to make it work. I think they always seem, especially lately, they seem to have the draft capital. So I think they could spin a deal. My guess is Ben Simmons ends up in Minnesota.
Yeah, and good luck there, Ben. That sounds very fun. Yeah. So that was like I've always like that was one of the places that was rumored before, but now that just doesn't seem like that would happen. So maybe Toronto. Just send Ben to the coldest place possible. That's what he deserves.
Yeah.
He wants to go live in LA. Nah, bro. Toronto. Have fun, buddy. No, not Toronto, Minneapolis. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio. Here you go.
Yeah. It's one of those three.
It's gonna be the Cavs. It's gonna be, bro. They're gonna be
I
the
hope
stupid
for
team.
your sake that it's not.
I would cry.
But I mean, if he revives
I would
his
have
career,
to Here's the thing: is I've been on Ben Simmons Island since day one, so I can just
Yeah, so
combine my like absurd optimism for these teams and for Ben Simmons, and it would just either go up in
might work
flames
out.
or who knows. Apparently Steph Curry said that one of his favorite point guards coming up in the league is Darius Garland. So I'm taking that for everything that it can be worth. Because Darius Garland gets that respect around the league. Like a lot of guys are just like, nah, he's the one. And I just haven't seen it yet. Like you see flashes of it, but it's only his third year now. But what were you gonna say?
I was speaking of the Warriors. Didn't their GM get fined for like tampering?
Their
with
owner, yeah.
Their owner, yeah. For this,
but he said they're not gonna trade for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. It was like this dude's literally just being transparent and gets fined. But
they're not trading for Ben Simmons.
Did you see Clay? What was that?
Did you see Clay working out?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, I was hyped. I was really hyped to see Clay.
Me too.
That's all I'm waiting for this year. That's going to be my favorite night, I think, of the season is when Clay debuts.
Okay, well, now that we've talked about the Warriors and the Timberwolves, I think it's time to get into our outrageous takes for this NBA season because maybe those two teams are involved in my outrageous takes.
Oh.
But I think you should start it off here. Jake,
I didn't even read your takes yet.
No,
absurd.
Don't, because they're gonna be crazy. What do you have first? What's your first hot take, outrageous take for this upcoming NBA season?
All right, so I feel like this is not outrageous. This is not my least outrageous take, but I think we are set. The tides are finally turning now. The East has been the doormat. I've heard it my whole life as a LeBron stan here. Oh, the East, nothing against the East, nothing against the East. And I will admit the East wasn't very good a lot of those years. But I think this year the Eastern Conference is much better than the West. I honestly think we could have one of the worst Western Conference years in a long time, like compared to the East. I think the East teams are just really damn good, and I think the West teams, like Clippers injuries, they got Kawhi's hurt, Jamal Murray, like those two teams alone would be two of the top teams in the league, and they're both going to be down. I just think the East is going to be tough. I think the West, I'm still waiting for the Utah Jazz to blow up. I feel like that situation is coming at some point. The Mavs didn't really do anything. So like Luka's amazing, but like, are they good enough to go toe to toe with like, I don't know, the middling East team, like Toronto on a night? Like I could see Toronto beating them. Boston. I was thinking Boston, but I wouldn't even want to consider that Boston. I would 100% Boston, Philly, like Milwaukee might run through the whole West. Like I don't see any of those teams beating them. Brooklyn. I just don't think that. I think the East is kind of has like the top heaviness as much as anything else. Like the Lakers are the most top heavy team in the West, but they're older too. Mm-hmm. So it's just
same with the Warriors. Well, the Warriors have like a pretty.
The Warriors, we just don't know. Like we just haven't seen Clay in 2 years.
The Blazers are on a steady decline. It seems like the last 3 years. San Antonio's kind of been irrelevant.
They've got nothing. The Kings are just staying the Kings. The Timberwolves, as we touched on, a shit show. Houston's
the West
horrible.
has like a lot of.
OKC's horrible.
Yeah. Phoenix, they'll be relevant again.
Do you trust Phoenix? We're gonna get into and when we get into our previews, I think
they had last year. I was just gonna say I think they had a very easy path last year, and not that I'm taking anything away from that. I just think if they want to get back to the finals again, it is going to be a lot more difficult for them this year, I think, than last. I
wholeheartedly agree.
Phoenix isn't too scary to me this year.
I think as high as I was on Phoenix last year, I might be like as low on going into the season. Not like that I think they're gonna like miss the playoffs or anything, but like same everything you just said, I think it's gonna catch up to them. So anyways, yeah. You want me to go with all these and then you go, or you wanna go with your first one?
We can go one for one. I'll do my first one.
Go for it.
This is my only homer outrageous take, but Jason Tatum will win MVP. That is about outrageous as it gets because, I mean, Tatum, where I do think he will be, I think he could possibly be in the MVP conversation this year. Like, I think he could be like a top 5 guy. Like, we're looking at saying, wow, this dude's actually got the numbers. But my take is that Tatum wins it. He wins MVP. He has a season where he averages, he finally hits that 30 points per game mark, 10 rebounds, and like 6 assists or something like that. Add a steal and a block to go along with it. He had a 60-point game last year, 4 50-point games. I mean, he was really starting to blossom at the end of last year. I don't think it's too crazy to say he could be in the MVP conversation, but my first outrageous take from Happy Hour Hoops for this next season is that Tatum will win the MVP.
I was gonna ask you about what the stat line would have to be. The 30 points, I think so. 10 rebounds, that might be where. But he could get like, I don't know, because he's gonna be playing 4, right? Like he I guess depends on if they go small or not.
I think he could definitely
he's gonna play the 4
a game.
Is Al gonna start or is Robert Williams gonna start?
I think they'll both be like
they'll both
Brad,
start at some point.
Oh my god! I almost just said Brad just throws out whatever lineups he wants. He's not the coach anymore.
He is not. It's gonna be hard.
I think when healthy, I think it'll be Rob Williams as much as it can be. I really think Ime is going to take a liking to him. But then at the same token, I could see it just being Al, just because Al is who he is. I mean, he's loved in Boston. He's, just such a smart veteran. Great, but they're both so good at passing from for being big men. So I think we'll see a lot of them starting. Even depending on matchups.
So what does the Celtics record have to be for Tatum to win MVP? Like 57 wins. I feel like it doesn't have to be 60, but it needs to be like 50, like above 55.
I was gonna say like 52, 53 and above, because like 50 wins, I feel like there's just gonna be too many. Then you're talking about like, well, Durant's stats are gonna be right up there with like the Tatum stats that I'm saying he would need for MVP, and then I assume the Brooklyn Nets record's gonna be better. Giannis, same deal. Like probably have a better record, probably better stats than the ones I named. So it'll be a challenge, but it's an outrageous take for a reason.
Yeah, I think we should take the betting odds on that when we do our picks before the season, because that would be a thing. That would be a fun thing to watch along. I think there's a good case for it. I'm not at all opposed to
definitely an all-star
Jason Tatum MVP run. Oh yeah, not even a question. All right, we were talking about this team earlier. I think my next take will stay in the Atlantic Division. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to be in the play-in game.
Oh, no.
It's going to happen.
Really?
I think the vibes are just off, man. I don't really know how else to describe it. It just
that would not break my heart at all.
Oh, no. I know you. I figured this one would make you ecstatic. I just don't think I don't think that they're going to get a good return for Ben Simmons. And I think that without another superstar on this team, like Simmons carries a lot of offense when Embiid was off the floor. Like everybody's opinion is so low on him after that playoff performance, but he had it's not like he didn't have a bad year last year. Like he had a normal Ben Simmons year. So after that, it's just Embiid, a guy who hasn't been healthy all the time either. Say he misses like 25 games or 27 games or something like that. Who's gonna carry that load? Like Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, whatever mix of mash guys. That it really comes down to, I just don't think there's gonna be a great return for the Ben Simmons trade in the long run, like a superstar that they think it's going to. And I think that it's going to be hard for this team to find its footing, and the East is just good.
Yeah, it's funny that I laugh at Philly because I hope and would laugh if they were in a playing game situation, and then I just remembered that the Celtics were actually in a playing game this past season.
Misery
So
loves
maybe,
company.
yeah, maybe I'll cool it with the laughs right now because I definitely do not want that from my Boston Celtics again.
No.
But a team that wasn't even sniffing the playing game last year, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think will be a playoff team this year. Whether they trade for Ben Simmons or not, if they don't, I think they have a very interesting big three of D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns. If they do, it's some combination of that with Ben Simmons in the mix and minus one or maybe two of the other guys. But yeah, I think the T Wolves could be and will be a playoff team this season.
I like that. I like that because I think we both just really think Anthony Edwards is gonna be like a baller this year.
Yeah, I think he's so good, dude.
He might just average 25 points a game. Like he was doing that at the end of last year. He could have just figured out the NBA. This kid's figured out like everything on a whim in his life, basically. I feel like the NBA is nothing to him. Like he's gonna be averaging 25. If it's not this year, it's gonna be next year. So why not this year? And that could just make them so much more dangerous.
Yeah, to me, Edwards is just like a less sharp, more athletic Donovan Mitchell, dude. And I think he just has just so much crazy potential. I mean, we saw so many flashes of it last year. He's just crazy athleticism. Then you pair that with a guy like Cat, and then the craftiness and expertise and kind of veteran play, I guess, from D'Angelo Russell. I guess, yeah, we can call D'Lo a vet at this point in his career.
Now. Yeah.
I see, at least they're set up for success roster wise. With all this drama going on within the organization is another thing, but hey, I think the T-Wolves make it happen. You talked about how the West is really not all that impressive this year on paper. And it's kind of open towards the end of those, I did say they would be a playoff team, so not playing. But I think, the middle/lower half of the Western Conference is doable for this Timberwolves team.
I think so too. I think they're going to be in that mix for sure. Despite whatever happens, I mean, they've got a lot of shit going on, but I think that it's going to happen for Cat eventually. I think he just hasn't been supported enough, and now he's kind of got a guy that actually can play next to him. I like that. My last one here is that Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks will make the Western Conference Finals. Maybe that's not outrageous. Maybe it would be more outrageous to say that they would make the NBA Finals. I don't think so. I think that that is a Lakers or Warriors world. I think, honestly, maybe the Nuggets too. I think I like Jokic a lot this year too. But I could see the Mavs beating two teams to get this year, and just because Luka, I think, is that good. I think he's proven to be that good. He just had some bad breaks over the last couple of years, but I think that he is the type of superstar that can carry you in a couple series. They're still one of the best offensive teams in the league, no matter what. Tim Hardaway's back. If Porzingis is somewhat healthy and somewhat available,
he's got to figure it out.
Yeah, like if he can play at all and just play decently, and they can get in a rhythm. They've got a Jason Kidd there. I mean, who knows what having a new voice in that locker room is going to do for them too. I think that Luka is going to be one of those players that makes it work, and he's eventually going to go on one of these runs. I think it's this year. So yeah, Mavs to the West Finals.
Yeah, I actually really like this, and just for the simple fact that, like, if I think about anyone in the league right now. And obviously, it could be Harden or KD, but the team that they're on, it couldn't be. So I'll take that into consideration when I say this. But if there's anyone who could legit average like 40 points per game this season, I think it could be Luka. I don't think that will happen, but I'm just saying, like, as far as like guys who can and will carry their team or just be the guy all season long for their team, it's Luka to me. Just, I mean, for the simple fact, one of the things I said was Brooklyn, but they have too many mouths to feed over there. So KD, he doesn't need to do that much. Steph he did last year, but it won't be the same thing this year. I think Luka, he's kind of primed to have one of those seasons too, because you mentioned, kind of fell short a couple times. He only gets better every game he plays. I think he, has a bad taste in his mouth from the playoffs last year. I like that a lot. I think Luka and the Mavs, they have potential to be scary this year. So why not the West Finals?
Send it. Let's load it up. Luka to the finals. Luka MVP. We can rip those two. Luka would be the other. Luka and Tatum would be I might be the two that I ride for those MVP odds. It feels like it's one of those young guys' years this year. It's not going to be one of the guys in Brooklyn. It's not going to be Russ or it would be maybe LeBron. Maybe LeBron if he puts out some crazy year, but I don't think it would be Russ or AD over LeBron. So there's like a lot of eliminated candidates that would usually be there just because of that. Steph is an option too. Giannis again.
Giannis could just keep stacking trophies on his shelf. Why not? Right?
How many MVPs does he need? All of them.
Give him all it's too bad because, and I'm glad you said the Mavs will make the West Finals because they're going to lose to the Warriors. Because my third and final outrageous take is that the Golden State Warriors are going to win yet another championship. Steph and Clay.
Oh, I had made.
Oh yeah, win the NBA championship.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I see it. I've been excited. For the Splash Bros to return on the court with one another for too long, man. I've been waiting for Clay to get back for too long. I think they got a good squad. I think Steph is talented enough. Geez, man, the team that he was carrying in some games last season, you got to think he'll be quite all right when he gets his buddy Klay Thompson back. But yeah, I think that's my third and final one. Golden State winning the championship yet again. But it's not like they can play LeBron and the Cavs this year, so at least it'll be a different finals matchup.
Hey, it's gonna be Ben Simmons and the Cavs, bro.
Right.
Ben Simmons, Darius Garland, and the Cavs against the Warriors.
Evan Mobley.
I don't even think this is that outrageous, bro.
Yeah, maybe not.
The Warriors. I think
it's just something I want to see.
No, it is. It is outrageous. It is like no one. I haven't seen a lot of people like actually picking the Warriors, but honestly, like it's not. You know how easy it's going to get for people to jump on the bandwagon if they start just like having crazy 3-point performances and start blowing teams out by 40 in some of these games. I have no reason to believe it's not going to happen. If Clay looks 80% of himself, like we know Steph might be getting better still. Like dude, Steph really has. I don't think Steph has peaked yet.
Last season, it seemed like it. No, dude, he got his career high last season.
I don't think he's going. I think he's going to be like LeBron level of good forever, and
it's so much easier for his game. It's like his game just translates like that. Like it's
Ray Allen was running around forever. Steph can do it. Steph is probably in the best
Vince
shape.
Carter, who literally relied on dunking on people for like the whole first 10 years of his career, realized that shooting will keep you in the league, and that dude did it.
Yeah.
Like Steph is quite all right, dude. Like he's going to be the Tom Brady of basketball. Like this dude is just going to keep playing, keep breaking records, keep hitting threes. Oh,
This could be
Yeah.
the revenge tour.
I guess
They
the
have
more I talk
luck
about
for
it,
that,
the less outrageous it seems. But
but this could really be like the perfect revenge tour for them. Like they were the feel good team when they were in 2015, 2016. Durant goes there, they become like villainized immediately, whether it was warranted or not, whatever. Then they have the worst injury luck like we've ever seen for a team, like back to back. Like
yeah,
he within like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, Kevin Durant blows out his Achilles and Klay Thompson tears his ACL. Like it just seemed like it was like so cruel, like by the universe to do that to these guys. Then Klay blows out his Achilles too, and it just felt spooky, bro. Like it felt weird that this was all happening to this team after all the success that they had. So I feel like now, like we're like it's got to size up. They've went through all this adversity that they didn't expect, and they're champions.
yeah,
Like they're one of the best, greatest teams we've ever seen assembled. So there's no way that they're going out like with a whimper. Like they're gonna be back. I think the Warriors are the new Spurs. Like that's essentially what their role is gonna be, as in like our hierarchy. Because it can't be the Lakers, because the Lakers are just like this mishmash of NBA mercenaries that just want to go hang out with LeBron on the Lakers. But the Warriors are like the homegrown, home built team in the NBA. And everybody's like forgot about that when Durant went and signed there. But it's like now, like this, like Steph got passed over by a bunch of teams. Like the Knicks took a point, the Knicks passed up on him. The T-Wolves picked 2-point guards before. Like it was like this was not what was supposed to happen for them. And so I just think those guys have chips on their shoulders that these other big teams in the league don't. And that's where the Warriors, I don't know, man. It feels like something's gonna happen for them.
yeah. I like it. That's why it was my outrageous take. But like I said, the more we keep talking about it, the more it just seems like it's a real possibility.
I love
But
it.
yeah, with that being said, let's get to our new segment. Quickly turning into my favorite segment on this show, keeping up with keeping up with J.R. Smith in his time in college, golfing, playing video games, being just a relatable dude. Yeah, we touched on it last show. And we will be keeping up with JR. Like I mentioned before, if you don't follow him on Twitter, I suggest you do so. It is a
It's a
great
treat.
time. Yeah, it is a treat. And if you don't, that's okay. Just keep listening to us and we will, keep you up to date. Today we have some tweets from J.R. Smith. Actually, this one I believe came from today, earlier this afternoon, morning, what have you. He said, this is actually probably the first sad news that we've got from J.R. Smith. He said,
Oh
didn't
no.
make the team qualifier for our tournament this weekend. ... Bittersweet feeling to have, but wishing my teammates the best this weekend. Go get 'em, fellas! ! Hashtag Aggie Pride.
There we
So
go.
that
Turn it
means
around. Turned it around there. Positive energy.
he just didn't qualify for the golf tournament this weekend. But I think he's saying bittersweet because it's a learning experience. He is the new guy there, so just get a little better. But he's still supporting the fellas. This
Still.
JR keeps that chin up. He's getting a lot of support from fans, and he was retweeting all of it, which is really cool. I feel like I've noticed that. I feel like JR has become a lot more interactive since he's retired, just with fans, and it
Yeah.
seems like people he goes to college with now, which is really cool to see. And then we have JR is just huge. This is something else we talked about last episode. 2K22 is now out.
Oh yeah.
And I always peg JR for a 2K guy, but I mean, you go to his Twitter and he has just all 2K tweets everywhere. He's tweeting about the servers being down. People are tweeting at him to reach out to 2K saying that, they'll listen to J.R. Smith. Like, tell them to fix their shit, JR. Like, they'll listen to you. They won't listen to me. He's doing all this stuff. He's replying to people saying it's weird that he's not in the video game anymore because people are tweeting at him like saying I'm playing 2K22. J.R. Smith's not even in the game anymore. And he was like, yeah, that like he's tweeting back at them saying it's weird. Like I couldn't agree more. Um, and he said, oh yeah, he keeps saying that he is in the park and ready to play some pickup games with my players. So JR is just all over the 2K world. And Jake, me and you talked about this. JR is actually one of those dudes in 2K that I thought was just way better than his overall showed like every year.
Oh yeah.
Especially when he was on like the Knicks, like those years, like he had like crazy dunking abilities and then the 3-point shot. And that's basically like with a splash of handles in there, that's like all you need for like a user 2K guy to like give someone buckets.
That's true. Yeah, and especially like earlier 2Ks, like the ones that like we talked about, like the early 2010 2Ks. I feel like those are all our favorites. Like JR, like you said, the bounce, like those Knicks teams, like just dunking on everybody. Yeah, he was electric 2K guy. Definitely, he definitely scored 100 points multiple times with himself in 2K.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And I feel like guys playing 2. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like, and he was never like above like an 80 overall. Like this, I'm talking like this was like 75 to like 77 overall, J.R. Smith, but he was nasty.
Yeah.
And then just the last thing here is that I kind of touched on this last time we did Keeping Up with JR, but he's still taking his academics very seriously. He
Good student.
Yeah, he is. It seems that way. He said he is pissed. He said, pissed about this 72 I got on my quiz, and then did the Michael Scott gif where it's just like him looking super sad and it like zooms in on his face and he's all like sad and depressed. And it's funny, Peacock TV, like their verified Twitter account, just tweeted back at JR and said, keep your chin up with like a gif of Jim Halpert like doing like the thumbs up. So it's just like
awesome.
That alone, just like following JR and keeping up with him and just seeing the interactions that he has daily is like, this dude is just truly a unique character that lives on this earth.
He's just going to college like anybody else, bro. Listen, we've all gotten 72s. It's no problem.
We've all gotten 72s. We've all tweeted gifs of Michael Scott. Like,
oh yeah, that's very true. Like, I feel like The Office was like before they even knew it was made just to make gifts. Like that show is just lived like another life through gifts, and for college students, yes, that show, great. We need a breakdown. A ton of people have done this before, but we could just break down the Office basketball episode on what's train wreck watching. Be like, this week we're watching the Office basketball episode. And we just give a nice scouting report.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be electric. Anyways, yeah, JR, he's killing it, man. He's out there doing it.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, this is a little heartwarming thing to send us off of this week's segment of Keeping Up with JR. But he tweeted 3 days ago, September 20th, I'm getting really soft, period. That was just one tweet. And then he followed it up with a tweet after. He has to explain, because college can make you soft. You start to, learn about things you didn't know about. I feel like you start to learn more about yourself in college. But then he tweeted, for real, man, I just saw a little kid in the airport see his grandfather come down the escalator, and the joy on his face made me think of how my kids see my dad and how I used to look at my grandparents. The best things in life are #free. So, JR.
Introspective JR. I like that.
Yeah. Maybe he's in a philosophy class right now. And he's just, finding his inner self, looking at the world in a different way. I think it's great. I think, I
love it.
We can't say it enough, dude. Follow JR Smith if you don't. If not, at least keep up with JR with us, because it really is awesome, dude. He's just such a cool, interesting dude.
Facts. Yeah, that's good. That's amazing. I'm happy to see him happy doing what he's doing out there. All right, so yeah, I think that we're pretty much wrapped it up. We'll be coming with season previews next week. I feel like when the teams go to training camp, that's when we go to training camp. Listen, we're out here. We've been on a grind just like they have. These podcasts don't record themselves, you know. This has been someone tweeted out the other day that within a calendar year, it was 2 days ago, I think. This date last year was when Anthony Davis hit the 3 against the Nuggets. There's been 3 parts of 3 NBA seasons in a calendar year. Yeah, it was last September, bro. How long ago does that feel? That feels like 5 years ago.
Dude, like, okay, I'm glad we're in agreement on that. I wasn't sure if you were gonna say that feels like that feels like so long ago, dude.
That feels like forever ago.
Like I remember us making episodes about that, and then like me making a video, and because we talked about
the
how
shot,
it was, it was a lot like the Kobe shot, and we put the side by side and us talking behind it. Like I would be like, now I'm just imagining that.
That was
that is crazy, man.
A year.
Jeez, the NBA really has just been doing the most.
We're in the 3rd season.
No wonder why Braun's pissed, dude, that they're not getting a longer off season.
Dude, imagine
trying to banana boat as much as he can.
No, we're trying to just keep up with who's where. In a year, dude, to switch teams twice.
Oh, I know. Week 1, dude, I'm gonna be like, what?
I haven't looked at deeply at all like the rosters like Spot Track or anything in a while, and I feel like I'm gonna look at the names after like everything the dust settled and be like, yo, who is it? Someone tweeted out like getting ready for the NBA season is remembering like I can't remember the dude's name, TLC, the guy from the Nets, Luaso Cabarro. He's on the Hawks now. He's like, I just learned that today. I'm like, bro, I just learned that from this tweet because I had no idea he signed with the Hawks. Like, those are the kinds of guys that I'm going to be like, what? Like, what is happening here?
I might make your brain pretzel with this one. So you brought up AD. That on that Lakers team, Dwight Howard was on that team.
Hey, he's back. Prodigal son.
Since then, he's played a full season with another team and now is already back on the Lakers. That's crazy. That is crazy.
It was like a vacation. He's like, hey guys, I'm gonna go hang out with Philly for a little bit. Just chill there. I'll be back.
Ben Simmons
less than a year
basketball. Wow, man.
That's unreal.
We have gone through with the NBA.
That's why I'm excited about this year, because it's just gonna start in October. We get like normal games spread out through an 82 game season. They even are adding like weeks in, give more breaks. Like we'll be able to really sit with these games, and there's going to be some, as there always is, there's going to be some chaos. And this season's ripe for chaos. I feel like this is the most wide open. Like last year was definitely wide open, but this year is easily one of the most wide open years I think we've ever seen for the title. Maybe the East is a little more closed off, but I would hope that your Celtics and the Sixers and the Heat have something to say about it. The Nets in Brooklyn, or the Nets and the Bucks, but out west is wide open, bro. Like who knows? I want to believe the Lakers do, but we'll get into it. We're gonna get into it, but the West just scares me, bro. I don't know. I have trust issues with the Western Conference is what that's how we end up both getting super excited about the Golden State Warriors, who we haven't seen play together in
just not
3 years.
The rest of the West.
It really is. There's nothing. I'm ready to roast the Jazz a lot more too. I'm ready.
They deserve it.
I think I'm going full in on it now.
They had like half of NBA fans fooled. They had me fooled at one point.
Dude, we had him number 1 when we wrote power rankings. I think our last power rankings that is up before the world flips upside down 3 more times.
I wrote an article about them called "Jazz It Up," and and I talked about how freaking good they were.
Oh man,
they fooled me. But yeah,
it's not happening again this year. We will just veto all any positive Jazz content. We'll just redact it. It'll be wiped from the internet. But yeah, so we'll be back next week. Subscribe everywhere, wherever you get podcasts, wherever you watch all this shit. We are on, I'm trying to think. I can't think of all the tags right now because we didn't actually do it. Twitch, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Twitter here, obviously on our YouTube page. SoundCloud, I think it goes up to, you could share it with your friends anywhere you want. If you want to send an iMessage over, be like, hey, happy hour hoops. Like, that's a good way to do it too. I mean, whatever way, listen to Happy Hour Hoops, and we'll be back next week and for the whole NBA season. And I don't know what I'm just gonna keep going. This is just the longest outro ever. We just keep it rolling. People are turning it off already. That's all right. I don't blame you. I've already told you where to subscribe. We're just chilling here. Donnie, anything before we go? Any football? We didn't touch on. We did no football talk. I said last week we made it 2 weeks with football talk. So is there anything? Any football opinions? You get what, next week will be fun because it's the biggest Patriots game like in a very long time.
Yeah.
Next Sunday. That'll be the good one.
Until then.